Hi, everyone. Welcome back to All About Financial Aid. Um, we're here in the studio today with my associate, Priscila Ramirez. She's going to tell us about the Texas Grant Program. This grant program is very important because, you know, it's always better to use grant money rather than loan money because grants don't need to be paid back. So Priscilla's a Texas grant expert. She's going to go over with us, really the ins and outs of the Texas grant, and then we'll have a little bit of a discussion. And we'll also record this video so that we can upload it later and you can refer back to the slides at any time. So, Priscilla, thanks for joining us today, and you can take it away whenever you're ready.
All right, thanks. Quite an introduction. Well, today we're going to be talking about the Texas grant. Just to clarify, the state of Texas does have various different grants. The Texas grant is a specific one of those grants. So some students tend to get confused. The Texas grant with for instance, a TPEG or SCOG grant. They're two separate grants. This one particularly is called the Texas grant, as we will see in the next slide. It's Texas grant towards Excellence, Access, and Success grant. So there's actually two ways that you can actually get funding for this grant. There's the high school graduation pathway. If you have been granted it after you graduated from high school, there's a maximum of 5 years of eligibility, or if you reach 150 attempted credit hours, then you are no longer eligible for the grant funding. Usually, the students that we get, their renewals. So that means that they've already been offered this grant before if it's through high school pathway. Now, the next one, which is what we usually see, is through the associate's degree pathway. Now, this pathway, there's a maximum of 3 years eligibility or 150 overall attempted credit hours. If you've been awarded the Texas grant, you have up to 90 credit hours while receiving the Texas grant funding as far as eligibility goes. Whichever one you reach first, then you would no longer be eligible for the Texas grant. So essentially, what happens is once you receive an associate's degree, you have 12 months from receiving that associate's degree to enrolling into an eligible program that you can actually apply for the Texas grant. Now, when you come in to our university, we are not a freshman type university, so everybody that comes in should already have credit hours at another school. So you need to make sure that you have your official transcripts with the updated information sent to the registrar's office as soon as possible, because this is going to be very important, as we will mention in some of the slides that we will go through. Any student who has already received the Texas grant at another school has priority. So we usually look at their eligibility first, and then we start looking at anybody who can potentially get the initial awards for consideration. Now, we start looking at Texas grant consideration in September. Usually the award is not issued out until October, November. We try and get it done as quickly as possible. But the reason that we do this is because we cannot request the grant funding prior to September. We also need to know exactly how many credit hours you're enrolled in. We also need to take account how much your tuition and fee was, what were your other awards. This all plays a factor as to whether or not you're eligible for the Texas grant and how much you can get out of the Texas grant funding. Something very important to remember is that the Texas grant is for fall and spring only. We have to consider your credit hours, how many hours you took in the summer, but that's only as far as the attempted 150 hours or the 90 credit hours play into effect on that. But we can only really grant funding for the fall and the spring. And now, as we will see, for the initial awards, you have to meet the EFC requirement. Now, the EFC stands for Expected Family Contribution. So this number actually comes from your FAFSA application. So whenever we receive your FAFSA application, it'll already tell us what your EFC is. Now, for this year, for 2020-2021, the EFC cutoff point was 6,047. So if your EFC was higher than that, then unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to award you the Texas grant for any initial awards. That means you're coming in here and we're finding that you're eligible for it, so the first award would be here with us. Now, due to a limited funding, because every year, the state of Texas gives us an allocation of how much we can award for the Texas grant. It does change every year, so we won't always have the same amount. Now, because of this, we do use the priority deadline, which has been for a couple years, January 15th. So for this current year, it would be January 15 of 2020. Next year, for the 21-22 FAFSA application, it would be January 15 of 2021, which would be the cutoff point. As with all grant funding, it is very important that you complete and submit your FAFSA application as quickly as possible, because you could potentially be missing out on additional grant funding other than the Pell Grant and the Texas grant. So you want to make sure that you get that done. Another nice information is the FAFSA application, or the FAFSA, what they do is they actually send you an email reminder to let you know that the FAFSA opens up October 1st of every year, just to let you know that you can already apply for the new FAFSA. Another thing is, if you've already completed a FAFSA before, you can just do the renewal. So it'll pre-populate a lot of the information. It'll make it easier and quicker for you to be able to submit your application as quickly as possible. Since it's not using current tax information, you don't have to wait. It's going to be using tax information from 2 years ago. So if you did file, or your parents did file for taxes, it'll be easy to just electronically transfer the information. So you should be able to complete it pretty quickly. So getting back with the information of the Texas grant, as I mentioned before in the third bullet point, it says from earning your first associate's degree. It cannot be no more than 12 months from the program start date. So that is very strict. So if for some reason it's been more than the 12 months that you've actually received your associate's degree and then your program started, you would unfortunately be disqualified. Now, something to take into account is where it says earned first associate's degree. What that means is if you've already gotten an associate's degree some years ago, or this is your second associate's degree that you're earning, unfortunately, we can only look at the information from your first associate's degree. So if your associate's degree was back in 2017, 2015, you would already be disqualified. We wouldn't be able to offer you the Texas grant. So it's from the first associate's degree that you actually have earned. Now, something to take to look at is you would have to meet the school's SAP requirements, which is the Satisfactory Academic Progress requirements. This is very easy if it's the first year that you're coming in and then you are eligible for an initial award, because everybody that comes in, if you're coming in the fall, pretty much everybody meets the Satisfactory Academic Progress requirements. So something that you would want to look out for is if you come in say in the summer term, and for some reason you have to drop a lot of your classes, more than half of your classes or half of your classes, that could make you not meet satisfactory academic progress. So you just is one of the things that we do have to take a look at. But usually that's not a problem. The school SAP is pretty easy to meet as a first time student coming into our university. You would have to be a Texas State resident because it is Texas State funding coming in. The calculated financial need, again, that information we would look at, and we would be able to get from your FAFSA. So that's information that you don't really have to supply to us. We're not asking for you to turn in any kind of documentation. It's documentation that we already take a look at on your account, but it is something that does play a factor as to whether or not you would be able to get Texas grant funding. Another thing is, once you receive a bachelor's degree or the equivalent of a bachelor's degree, then you would no longer be eligible for the Texas grant, unfortunately. So if you've already gotten a bachelor's degree, or if you got a bachelor's degree in another country and you're coming in, you wouldn't be able to get the Texas grant. You would have to be enrolled in at least 3/4 time. What that means is it's 9 credit hours. So that's usually not a problem if you're just starting your program. Everybody is always enrolled in more than the 9 credit hours, as you will find. But if you have already received the Texas grant before, or this is already like your 3rd semester or your 2nd semester in, you would still have to maintain the 9 credit hours for eligibility. If you drop less than the 9 credit hours, then unfortunately we wouldn't be able to offer you the funding for the Texas grant, regardless if it's an initial award or if it's a renewal. Something very simple is you would also have to have a FAFSA application completed. We can also use the TASFA application. TASFA is the Texas State application. It's for students who are Texas residents but are not eligible for federal aid through the FAFSA application. We can also use the TASFA to see if you are eligible for Texas grant funding. So for all our male students, you would have to be enrolled for selective service as well. So that or be exempt. So there are circumstances in which you can be exempt from registering for selective service. If that is your circumstance, if we need additional information, we will contact you and let you know that we need additional documentation. Otherwise, it usually shows up on your account information at that point that we're looking at Texas grant eligibility. You usually would have already been contacted by our office to submit selective service information, or you would have already been contacted regarding selective service. Now, another thing is you can also not have been convicted for a felony or a crime involving controlled substance. So there is a form that you would have to sign that says that you acknowledge that you cannot have been convicted for this particular type of crime, and that you certify that you have not. It's something that the state requires that you have, and so once you've been awarded, there is a form that you would sign regarding that. Now, the link down below has more information regarding the Texas grant and the information that I have listed on this slide. Now, these requirements are very similar for renewal awards. Renewal awards just means that you've gotten the Texas grant before. It's not your first Texas grant funding that you've received. You could have gotten it at another school, or you could have gotten it at a previous semester here at this school. Something to take into account for that is the SAP requirements are different. They're slightly different. So after you receive the first initial award, the next year that you receive the Texas grant funding, you would have to maintain eligibility by having at least a 2.5 GPA. The school for the satisfactory academic progress, you really only have to maintain a 2.0. But for the Texas grant specifically, it has to be a minimum of 2.5. If you fall below that, then you would not meet eligibility criteria. You would also have to complete at least 24 credit hours per academic year. So for the year, you have to have a minimum of 24 credit hours completed. You can complete more, but if you are at 23 credit hours, unfortunately, you would lose eligibility. The rest of the information listed, that's the same for initial. So the calculated financial need that we would already take a look at: be a Texas resident, not have completed a bachelor's degree, be enrolled in at least 9 credit hours. So all that information is the same. The link down below also has that same information regarding the eligibility criteria and any additional information you would need to know about the Texas grant, and it's coming directly from the state. So that website is actually very good for any Texas state information regarding college students, just for you to know. Okay, so as I had mentioned earlier about the official transcripts, you need to make sure that you submit your official transcripts to the registrar's office. So if you just recently received an associate's degree, you want to make sure that you send that to the registrar's office, because that is the only acceptable proof that we can use that you've earned an associate's degree. And all official transcripts must be sent to the registrar's office. They're the only office that can actually receive an official transcript and it stay official. So if you send it to our office and for some reason someone opened the transcript, it's no longer official. And we really don't want that to happen, because usually for the official transcripts, students have to request it and pay an amount in order to get that sent. So do not bring official transcripts to our office. Usually we won't ask for official transcripts if for some reason we are asking for a transcript. If you have any questions about this, you can always call us and ask, but all official transcripts have to be sent to the registrar's office. Another thing is you would want to send us an email about whether or not you've previously received the Texas grant or if you recently received an associate's degree to be considered for Texas grant funding here at this school. Now, the email information is listed here. So you would put in your name. If you know your student ID number, we would like for you to add that. If not, as long as you put your full name, we should be able to locate your information. It's preferred that you use your student email. However, a lot of the students who email us do not have access to their student email, so that's understandable. You would list the school which you last received the Texas grant if you have received it previously before. You would also want to let us know whether or not you received it for the fall and the spring. If you don't remember, it's not too important. That's fine. Now, if you just recently received an associate's degree and you've not gotten the Texas grant before, you would want to make sure you put the month, if you know the day, but the month and the year that you've received the Texas grant, the associate's degree. So that way we know that we need to take a look, keep an eye out for the official transcript with the registrar's office and know that you would be an initial award for consideration. On the subject line, you want to make sure you put Texas grant. That's really all that you need to do, just have Texas grant listed on that subject line. You can send the email to our general mailbox, which is the first email listed, or you can also send it to me. So either way, if you send it to the general mailbox, they'll forward the email to me. If you just want to make sure that the information gets to me, that's fine. You can also copy me on the email. So we will put you on a list for consideration. As I had mentioned before, the renewals have priority, but don't let that deter you. If you recently received an associate's degree, you want to make sure that you send us that email, because the worst thing that can happen is we wouldn't be able to offer it to you for some reason. If we wouldn't be able to offer it to you for that year, I will still keep your name on the list for consideration for the following year. I mean, we always have students graduating, especially for the nursing school. It's pretty quickly, it's a fast-paced program, so if for some reason we wouldn't be able to offer you the Texas grant for 1 year, that doesn't mean we wouldn't be able to offer it to you the following year. So just go ahead and make sure that you send that email. The information that you see on this slide, you can all be found also in the link below. So that's our website. SFS stands for Student Financial Services. That's our office name. It's the same as the financial aid office. But the information is listed on our website. If you need this information again, you can always email me or call our office. I can just send you that information. So this slide is all of our contact information, basically our office information. So we are located on 7000 Fanning on the 22nd floor of that building. You can call us on our main line, which is a 713-500 number 3860. We are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, and we typically close for federal holidays. So if you are not sure if we are open or not, you can just go ahead and call us. We'll let you know. Or you can also look on our website on that www.uth.edu/SFS. We also have a Twitter page. Again, it's our general mailbox listed there, and our contact information. Now, a little tip, if you have access to your MyUTH or the Apply UTH, when you log in from the home page, at the very bottom, there is a help section. When you click on help, it'll give you 3 options. You would then select financial aid. It'll take you directly to our contact us section of our website, which it'll list all of our office contact information, which includes myself and also John as well. So it'll list our office phone lines and also our email address. Keep in mind, we're living through some crazy times, so we might not always be physically in the office, so it might be a little hard to get contact to us through the phone line, just because we are social distancing, so we are working minimum staff physically in the office, and we're working a rotating schedule. So usually the safest way and the best way to get contact of us would be through our email address.
All right, thanks, Priscilla. And if you could leave this screen up while we kind of mention the last few points. Yeah, so definitely everybody join our Twitter page. Make sure you follow us on there. You get the most important updates. And Priscilla, so you mentioned that if you have an associate's degree that you got within the last 12 months, you may be able to get the initial award. I also want to mention and reiterate really that if you got an associate's degree more than 12 months ago, or if you've ever gotten a bachelor's degree, you won't be able to get the Texas grant, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So most of these grant programs, everyone, they're really designed to help you get that first bachelor's degree. So after that, there's very few grant programs you're going to be able to get. You're going to have to more rely on student loans. But so, is there anything else I really wanted to mention here? Yeah, Priscilla did an excellent job of explaining all these, all the requirements and everything. Any other tips that you have for anyone aside from get your transcripts in on time, definitely? Anything else you wanted to mention?
That is very important that you complete your FAFSA application early, because it is a little sad whenever you're looking at eligibility to see if you can offer grant funding for students and you realized, unfortunately, they waited too long to apply for the FAFSA. Really, the Department of Education has made a a lot of strides to make the application as simple as possible, as quickly as possible, for students to apply, and completely electronic. And now there are exceptions, and I know it's not always easy, but hey, as soon as you get that email and you know it's open, or if you put on your calendar October 1st to apply for the FAFSA application, and just get it out of the way. It'll really help you, because when you submit the FAFSA application, the Department of Education actually logs in the date that you first completed the FAFSA. So if you have to go back in to make any adjustments, or you need to add your parents' information, or anything to do with their tax information, because that usually is what takes the longest for some of our undergraduate students to apply for the FAFSA, that's fine. But just go ahead and submit the application. If you need to make any adjustments to the application, you can do that on a later date. But at least with that application, it'll log in the first date that you sent it off. So that is very important, and it is sad if you miss out on that January 15th date. You could potentially be missing out on a lot of funding, because usually the Pell Grant is what a lot of the students receive, but there is other Texas grant funding that basically would disqualify you if you don't complete prior to that January 15th date.
Definitely. And so, yeah, we always recommend to everyone do the FAFSA as soon as it opens on October 1st if you can. If not, as close to October 1st as possible. And even on our Twitter page, we always tweet out on October 1st, make sure you fill out the new FAFSA. Really make sure that you do get that done, because filling out the FAFSA, that's the first way our office knows to open a file for you. That's the first way you get on our radar. And if we do need anything else from you, then we can contact you after that. But if you don't submit the FAFSA, our office really has no idea that you even need financial aid. So that's really the number one thing. All right. Well, Priscilla, thanks for joining us today. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention, or I think we're pretty much all set, right?
Yeah, just one quick thing. I had mentioned it, but the TASFA. So a lot of our students, or some of our student population that unfortunately cannot file for federal aid, but they are considered a Texas state resident, can still apply for these Texas funding, Texas grants. So specifically for the Texas grant itself, if you submit a TASFA application, the same rules apply. You would want to make sure that you submit that to our office before the January 15th cutoff date. So usually that form is a physical form. So if you need additional information, or you need help, or you don't know where the TASFA application itself, and you could qualify for TASFA, you can go ahead and email me, or you can call our office. I can email you the information regarding the TASFA. So if you are a Texas state resident, again, but you cannot qualify for federal aid through the FAFSA application, you might be eligible for TASFA. So it doesn't hurt to give us a call. I can go ahead and either talk to you through email or over the phone, and let you know any information that you would need regarding the TASFA.
All right, and we'll put some links in the description below so that you do know where to go to fill out that TASFA application if you don't qualify for FAFSA aid, but you may qualify for state aid under the TASFA program. All right. All right, I think that's just about it. Priscilla, thanks again for joining us, and have a great day, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye.